Well, we'll start off with some easy ones. What is your first name?
Katharina.
Catalina.
Katharina.
Catalina.
There's an R in there.
Oh,
Katharina.
So I actually had a speech impediment when I was younger, and then I had to go to classes for the R's. And they're like, you gotta go and like put your tongue up, and they had to teach me how to do it, but I still haven't learned it all the way.
Yeah, it's in the back. It's not one of those Italian ones.
Yep. And where are you from? Where are you from?
I was born in Germany.
Germany. That's awesome. I'll say that's where the accent comes from. So, what was your? Well, actually, let's go back to the whole story. Tell us the story about how we got involved with getting involved with buying your property.
I have owned this property since 2001 and lived there until 2009, and then we rented it out, which initially was great. Had some great tenants, but recently it's pulled back. In 22, my partner passed away, and he was a contractor, and he took care of the house.
Yep.
But he hadn't been able to do much for the couple of years before already. So he passed away, and now it was all my thing, and I am not a contractor. And while I can do a lot of stuff, all the bigger stuff is beyond me. And I had some bad luck with tenants. You don't want the raccoon story. And it just became too much as I was getting older, and I would like to travel a little more and spend time with my daughter who lives out in Colorado. And then you can't keep a close eye on things.
Yeah.
And owning a house is a responsibility. And I was just feeling like this responsibility was something I needed to pass on.
100%. And you were working with somebody else. Tell me about the experience that you had with, we're not even going to mention any names or anything like that, but just tell me about your experience with another investor.
Yeah, I was contacted by a wholesaler, and they made me an attractive offer for cash, and everything went well. I signed, and it was supposed to close on a certain date, a very clear date. And everything was good, communication was good. I was supposed to let their general contractor into the house so they could have a look at it. The general contractor never turned up. And there was absolute radio silence. There was radio silence even though I reached out to them numerous times. And there was radio silence until 2 days after the supposed closing date.
So how long was they not talking back to you for? Was it like weeks or?
Well, it was over 2 weeks.
Wow. So you just didn't even know what was happening those 2 weeks?
No, and then suddenly I get a text that says, we're so sorry, this wasn't supposed to happen, and we're still interested, but for $15,000 less. And I had been warned by friends who are in the business that this was going to happen, that this is a business model or a business strategy, that they then come back with a lower. I didn't even answer that text. I was so angry. And anyway, the closing date had passed. In my initial contract with them, they had the possibility to extend the closing date by 10 days. And suddenly I get a copy of a PDF of a letter that claimed that they executed this option 7 days before the closing date that they'd given me.
And whose signature was on that one?
Only the signature of the person had made the offer.
Yep.
But they sent me this PDF 2 days after the closing date. In other words, who knows when it was signed?
Right, 100%. I did some research I didn't even tell you about.
Yeah.
So you can tell when a PDF is made and stuff. You can actually go and like look at the details and stuff. So I ran it and it was made on the 12th. And so it was made on the same day they sent it, which we all knew that, but it kind of shows more of like whenever you're digging into when it was.
And I think they lost, because of your connections, they lost their buyer.
Yeah.
I haven't heard a thing since.
Yeah. No, my friend has been talking to them, and then he's trying to prove that they did have it under contract, and I said, no, you don't. I was like, I don't automatically, I've had sellers lie in situations too, so I don't automatically do it, but that's why I asked you to come in, you showed me, I'm like, oh yeah. And then they're being like, sending this stuff, I'm like, you're forging documents now in order to try to keep it under contract, which is weird. But my question to you is like, why did you choose LTD then if even we were lower priced than what they were offering?
Well, okay, first, even before the money comes into it, I really prefer to go with a local company. We don't need people in New York State or Florida to make the money. Fort Wayne needs investment.
Yep.
And so that's one of them. The other thing is that because I had the house on the market before, I had a lot of so-called contractors walk through and they poo-poo everything you've done. Or they will tell you how they're going to tear out something that is this is a historical home.
Yep.
And it had been owned by the same family who built it until the 1970s. So, and I had put a lot of, I'm a lover of history and I actually work in the field, and it upset me when people said we're going to tear out all these walls and blah, 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 blah. So you have that, and you have these kind of cynical, well, that's crap, kind of people walking through. And wanting it to be local. So that really left two investors. There are two companies in Fort Wayne. And I'd already talked to one of them, but they gave me such a low-ball offer that it was like, no, we're not talking about that. If you're giving me that much, then I'll find another darn tenant.
Right.
There was a third local company that's set in Merrillville. At least it's in Indiana. Their lowball offer was 105. So,
wow.
Yeah. Anyway.
So we gave you a fair offer at least.
Well, not only that, you also asked the right questions from me to make me aware of what I really needed out of the house. It is sometimes not just a total sum, it's also how you will get that money delivered. And in my case, at my age, etc., I almost ended up with an annuity at 8%.
Yep.
For 30 years.
Yep.
Hey, I could not buy that.
That's awesome. I was saying that's really what it comes down to, is a lot of times like I'm just trying to find out like what does the person need, and can I still make it work on my side? Because if I can make a deal with you where you're making the money instead of giving it to the bank, let's make a deal together and let's both get what we want instead of the banks. And
I think you were lucky in a way that I followed your argument, which probably not everybody can.
Correct. I think that from my perspective, what I've seen is most people, one, are scared to tell people what they really want, which is important. Otherwise, if I don't know what you actually want, I can't give it to you. But a lot of times sellers feel like, oh, I can't be honest with these people because they're going to try to take advantage of me. When really my goal is to give them everything they want and see if it makes sense for us on our side. If it doesn't, then I have to offer something different. But I mean, at the end of the day, I want to give everybody what they want if I can still make money on it. That's at the end of the day, my only goal is to obviously make profit. That's number one. But number two is to make sure that the customer is getting absolutely everything they want.
And and so I think I could also sum it up as I've met your team. Nobody is cynical.
Yeah.
Nobody is trying to belittle me, because that can easily happen too. You become invisible when you're white hair. And I'm working hard not to. And the enthusiasm of your team, I can remember saying to a friend of mine when we were starting this process, why are all these people come out old? It's like, where are the young people? Where are the young people who respect history and are willing to put some of their self into it? And actually this friend turned around to me, hey, you found your young team.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So that, I had to feel good to who I was selling it to.
Yeah.
This other company that tried to play me, that just left such a bad taste in my mouth. Such a bad taste.
Yep. So if you had to describe LTD, like let's say just a couple words, then like how would you describe us, like based on what your perception is or your perspective?
I'd say not cynical and enthusiastic.
That's awesome. Cool.
And I never felt played.
Yeah.
That's important.
100%.
You don't want to feel played. There's so much of that going on, and in the business world, and it I think it makes people scared to do business.
Yep.
That's why people don't want to tell you.
Yep. Yeah, and my goal is to always make sure that they understand. Some salespeople are just push until the person makes. I'm like, I don't want to push. I want to give you what makes sense and make sure you understand that everything that I'm giving you is exactly what you said you wanted. And that's my goal, is to make sure the person understands that, because usually from my perspective, when people say no, it's because there's something that's scaring them, there's something that makes them nervous, they don't understand something, but then they really don't want to speak about it or say it. So my goal is to make sure that the person understands exactly what they're doing, it's what they want to do, and then it makes sense. So last question is, what would you say to anybody who's interested in selling their house, whether for cash, whether it's seller financing, anything? If somebody's looking to sell their cash, what would you tell them about LTD?
I think you guys are honest. Now, I must admit that there is something to be gained from having a realtor.
Yep.
If you are selling a certain type of house.
Sure.
And a certain situation.
Yep.
And maybe you want to add a realtor to your group.
Yep.
That's just my thought, because some people need that kind of hand-holding.
Yep.
And they really need to get maximum amount of money.
Yep.
Which you will, if you're lucky and you can sell it with a realtor, you probably get a little more.
Yep. And I'm glad that you said that, because it's funny, because I ask people all the time, I say, do you think you could have got more with an agent? And most of the time they do know that they could get more, but they wanted speed and convenience.
Well, part of it is, if you have a house that sits empty, it costs you every single day.
Yep.
There's insurance, there's utilities, there are taxes. You have to also, don't just take what the realtor tells you what you could get. Also take into account what you have to pay the realtor and how long the house may be sitting empty.
Yep.
Costing money. And I've gone through that, and I was aware that the house needed certain repairs, which kind of scares off your regular realtor buyers, via realtor buyers.
Yep.
I've sold houses through realtors.
Yep.
I have a very good friend who's a realtor.
Yep.
So I'm not poo-pooing what they're doing, but some houses have other needs.
Yep, 100%.
And that's how I felt, and I was just ready to get rid of it because I'd been putting a lot of money into it, and I was kind of about maxed out.
Yep. Did Andrew ask you if you're looking for the highest price or the simplest process? That's usually a question that we ask. Did he ask you that at all? Do you remember?
If he did, I probably said I'm throwing out a wide net.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to meet you guys and know what you could offer me.
Yep, that's awesome. I would say, because exactly what you said with an agent is the same thing that I tell people. I said, hey, if you want to get the highest price, your best bet is going to be to put it on the market, find somebody who wants to live there, like you're more likely to get more. It's not guaranteed, of course. Like you said, it can sit there, people might not want it, whatever, but it gives you a better chance of getting a higher offer. I consider us more like a trade-in, like a dealership. You could probably get more if you listed it for sale by owner, if you went through more work, but you'd have to usually do more work in order to get it. And so you're kind of choosing the quick and easier way in order to get what you want, and like being like, all right, I'm done with it, I'm getting a fair amount, let's move on. But that's awesome. Well, we appreciate your business. Last thing we got, as promised, we got you the big box.
Oh, the big box.
Oh, I got you the big box.
I was expecting this one. What I didn't want is this one.
No, come on.
The one you get at Myers.
Yeah. No, I said, what's the biggest box we can get? Because we want to make sure to take care of you.